I want you to think about something for a second. What if your best salesperson quit tomorrow? Would sales keep happening the exact same way? Not would you eventually figure it out, not would things slow down for a bit, but would the process keep running? Because here's what I have found after working with over 500 plus brands, doing anywhere from 500K a year all the way up to 50 million a year. And also because I've personally sat on over 2,000 plus sales calls. Now, most businesses do not have a sales system, they have sales activity. And those are two very different things. So let me tell you what I actually mean by that. Because this is not the same abstract concept, right? This is what we see every single time we sit down with the business and look at how they handle leads. And actually roughly around 8 out of 10, so about 80% of businesses we work with already have a CRM, right? That's nothing new. They've got the tool, and they've probably been paying for it for months as well, some of them for years. But when you open it up and look at what's actually inside, there are no defined stages, right? There's no defined stages, there's no automated follow-ups, there's no routing rules, no pipeline structure, just contacts sitting in a dead database. And look, a CRM without a system is like a filing cabinet with no folders, right? You have the container, you have got nothing organized inside it though. And this is not rare, right? Over half the businesses we actually audit have no defined sales stages, no documented pipeline, no written process. They have got the tools, right? They have the tools in the toolbox. They have got people making calls and setters, but there's no system underneath any of it. And this shows up in virtually every industry we've worked with as well. One business we had worked with had 10,000 contacts sitting in their CRM, 10,000, and zero follow-up on any of them. Another one had over 800 leads stuck in the exact same pipeline stage, just sitting there. No next step, no sequence, nothing. And here's the part that I think is important to say. If that sounds familiar to you, it's not because you're bad at sales, right? It's because nobody ever showed you what a real sales system actually looks like. And the honest truth is most businesses are in the exact same position. You're not behind. You just have not been shown what the standard should be. And also with the, huge leap in AI and where things are going right now with AI, this system has never been more easy. So the real question is, why does this keep happening? And after doing this hundreds of times, like I told you before, I can tell you it comes down to 3 things, okay? So 3 things. First one is that a good salesperson can hide a broken system, but a broken system can't make a good salesperson. And this is the one that gets people, because on the surface, everything looks fine, right? Revenue's coming in, deals are closing, the business is growing, right? This is if you have like a hero salesperson in your team. So nobody questions the process. But when you look under the hood, what you find is that that one person is maybe usually the founder, is the one that's actually holding the entire operation together with effort. Not with a system, but with sheer personal effort. And we saw this with one business that had almost 100,000 social media followers across all platforms, and they had massive inbound demand. They were doing auto styling for vehicles, and they were not lacking leads, right? They were drowning in them actually, and they literally had to shut down their sales operation because the one person holding it together could not keep up. The demand was there, but the system was not. Then there is the second thing. And this is a big one actually. Businesses pour money into lead generation before they fix what happens after the lead comes in, right? One business we worked with lost almost 300 grand in a single year on ads and agency fees with no conversion infrastructure behind it. Another one was running paid ads for months without even being able to track which sales came from the ads. And when we actually built the backend systems and set up all the conversion tracking and the follow-up sequences, as well as their pipeline, they had hit a 2.95x return on ad spend in the first week. So the money was never the problem here, but the process was. They didn't change their salespeople either. And the third thing, and this is the one nobody thinks about, is that sales depends on memory instead of process. Nothing is documented, right? Nothing is repeatable. And that's what most businesses have set up, especially the ones that are in the starting stages that are doing less than 50K a month. So we worked with this one B2B company that described their sales efforts as, and I'm quoting here, like prehistoric, right? And it took 5 to 6 manual follow-ups to close a single deal. Their sales reps were bulk emailing from the primary company email address as well, which was like destroying the domain reputation. And it's, by the way, like one of the worst things you can do if you're sending bulk email. Never use your main domain. Always get a dedicated sending domain. Anyway, I digress. They had actually purchased a CRM at one point and never properly used it, and eventually canceled it. The reps were working, the system was not. And That brings me to the part that I think most people actually need to hear, because everyone talks about having a sales system, but almost nobody explains what that actually means in practice. So let me break it down, because a sales system is not a CRM. A CRM is a tool. A sales system is what you build inside the tool. And here's what that actually looks like when it's working. The first piece is defined pipeline stages. And I do not mean just, new lead here and then boom, closed. I mean real stages with clear criteria for each one, right? Qualification, proposal, negotiation, won, lost. Most businesses we audit have 2 stages, maybe 3, right? New and then whatever happens next. That is not a pipeline. That's like a guessing game. And that's if you're even using it anyway, because it doesn't even look that interesting. Then there's automated follow-up, right? That's the second thing. And this is the one that changes everything, and this is the one that's now become the easiest to do with AI as well. A proper follow-up system is not one call and then silence, right? It is a structured sequence of touch points across email and text over a defined period of time. And someone who just booked a call needs a different message than someone who did not show up, for example. Someone who went cold after 2 weeks needs re-engagement and, a cold lead re-nurture, not the same welcome message that they got on day 1. And then after that, you need lead capture and routing. So leads are coming in from different sources, right? The calendar, organic, ads, SEO, whatever it may be. And they need to get segmented automatically and routed to the right pipeline based on where they came from and what they are interested in, not just landing in one inbox and hoping someone notices. Do you know how many people I've spoken to that have so many different offers, specifically like home services or real estate, like they're trying to get buyers, sellers, and investors, and they're sending everyone to the same landing page using the same qualification gate, don't have any segmentation system. They're not routing the leads where they need to go. And what happens is it's just a mix of contaminated leads that have nothing to do with what you're trying to sell to them. So that's a problem that needs to be fixed. And then the next one is the handoff from the marketing to the sales, which is the step that almost nobody builds, right? There needs to be automated rules that move a lead from being nurtured to ready for a sales conversation, and based on actual behavior, not based on someone remembering to check. Now, another very common one is no-shows, right? A lot of people, businesses have an issue where people don't show up. If you get like a 60% show-up rate, that's good. So you need no-show recovery, because leads who book and do not show up are not lost. They're just waiting for a system to re-engage them. Whatever reason it is. Okay, some people are tire kickers, but some people genuinely didn't show up, and it happens all the time. And you'll be surprised how many of them you can actually get back with proper no-show and, again, follow-up systems, which now can be done even easier with AI. And finally, the last one on here is pipeline visibility. You need to be able to see where every lead is, what stage they're in, and how long they have been there, and where the bottleneck actually is. Because if you cannot see where leads are and where they're dying, you cannot fix it. You cannot fix anything, right? So here's the key. When all of those pieces are in place, right? When everything is in place, it clicks. But not only that, the system is repeatable. It works the same way whether the founder is there or not. And guess what? You've just built a business that doesn't need the founder, and therefore you have 3x, 5x your enterprise value, right? It is measurable because every stage has a conversion rate, so you can diagnose exactly where the problem is. And it is personality independent, which means it does not collapse when one person leaves. Now, as a real life example, we actually modeled this for one business that was doing about 100K to 200K a month. And they had the founder personally managing everything across 9 different tools. So the math showed that just moving their lead to call conversion from 2% to 4% would unlock roughly $180,000 a month in incremental revenue. So the performance was already there, but the system was not. And there was nothing a second person could step into. But of course, we fixed that for them, right? And then they were able to scale to that level. So what is really the bigger picture, the bigger point here? Systems scale. Hero salespeople do not. And when your revenue depends on whether one person has a good month or a bad month, you don't have predictable growth. You have volatility that happens to trend upwards sometimes. And the moment that person gets tired or gets sick or decides to leave, everything comes crashing down. One of our legal clients was handling every case manually. Actually, this just gives me an example. Right, so one of our clients who does legal was handling every case study manually, and after the system was built, case handling speed went up significantly. I think it went up by 40%. Not because the lawyers got faster, obviously, but because the process was automated. And that freed them to take on more work, which drove meaningful revenue growth. The system scaled. The hero lawyer model could not. And look, every single week, I talk to a business owner who tells me they have a sales problem. They say, oh, my leads are bad, or my salespeople are not closing, or the market is tough right now. And almost every time when we actually audit what is happening, it's not a sales problem, it's a process problem. I mean, obviously, yes, you will get those people who are just bad salespeople and you should get rid of them. But what have you done to make them, do their job at the best and highest level, so that you can, for a fact, rule out that they're the problem and not everything else like the systems and the SOPs. And then I'll go through one final example. One large firm we worked with was getting leads from paid ads and closing almost none of them. And they blamed the leads, of course. And when we looked at the data, there was no qualification system, no intake process, and 4 different platforms that did not talk to each other. So the leads are fine. It's just, again, the process was missing. They didn't have a sales system in place. So most sales problems are process problems. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. So here's what I would ask you to think about. Could you draw your sales process on a whiteboard right now? Like, does every lead in your pipeline have a defined next step? And if your best person left tomorrow, would sales keep happening the same way? If the answer to any of those is no, that is not a failure. That's a starting point, because you can now fix what you cannot see, and now you can see it. All right, if this was meaningful, and if this was useful, please hit subscribe. I'm going to keep breaking down the systems that separate businesses that scale from businesses that stall. All right, see you in the next one.